Libertarian is. Libertarian is someone who says you can be as liberal or as conservative as you want to be. Just don't force others to be like you.
Got it.
That's what we are all about. We are all about long-term solutions, not short-term solutions. We're all about changing culture, not just changing law. Law, we have to remember something. At the end of almost every single law is a guy or a gal with a gun who will put you in a cage. And if you don't want to go in that cage, he or she is going to kill you. That means you only use law when it really matters, not just because I'm angry, not because I don't like you, not because you should do some activity I think you shouldn't do or whatever the case may be. It's only for important things like life and liberty and property and things like that. That's when you use violence. That's when you use force. That's what Libertarians are all about.
Welcome to Libertarians Drinking Coffee Live. I'm so happy you have all joined me here this afternoon. It's 3 p.m. on the East Coast, and I'm talking to libertarians. Yes, I am, and I'm very happy, very lucky that I have with me someone who is running for city council, not playing games, not at all, the one, the only, Ashley Shade. How are you?
I'm doing great, Larry. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you for joining me. And for those of you who want some more information on Ashley, heading over to ashleyshade.com. She's also on all the internet things too. So if you want to get her on Twitter or on Instagram, whatever you want to go ahead, jump on a Facebook thing. But ashleyshade.com, that'll hook you up to get her to all the places. I do want to ask you the question I ask everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you've been an activist before. This isn't your first time in this world. You hold an office now. What makes you decide that city council was the answer for you now, and why now?
City council has always been a goal of mine. I first ran for council 4 years ago in North Adams, before I even got involved in the Libertarian Party. And I finished 14th out of 16th. There are 9 seats available. All the seats are at large, and they're all open at the same time. And I got 700 votes in that election with a win total needed of about 1,700. In that election, I had no support. I had no signs. I had no budget. All I did was participate in a public forum and do a few interviews.
Oh, nice.
And I still got 700 votes. So running for city council again this time was a goal, because I believe that's where I can start making an impact and helping to change the culture. I really want to be a part of not only changing the culture, but teaching people about liberty and libertarian ideas. And what better place to start than my own home community?
I love that answer. It's a great answer. You actually, I mean, some people just say things like, well, you know, someone got mad at me, so I decided to run. I mean, I get that too. So I'm glad you've actually thought this out. You've got some experience, and you think this is the best way, and you're trying to move your local community. Local. We talk about it all the time. And here you are, Ashley, not just talking the talk, but actually walking the walk. So I appreciate that tremendously. But you have what I thought was an interesting, I guess, slogan that I don't often hear. You're running for office, you're trying to make change, but you're not doing the old, whatever, deregulate or get government out, or you're not doing that. You're not even doing the hope and change. You're not doing any of that stuff. You're doing compassion, education, and love.
Yeah.
I love that, but you got to tell me about that.
Yeah, so compassion is the first part. We have to learn to understand our voters, understand our constituents, understand the issues that go on in our communities. And in order to actually help and solve those problems in a libertarian way, we have to be compassionate about how other people feel about these issues. We have to be willing to listen to them. We have to be willing to meet them where they are, and then kind of introduce them to libertarian ideas that help solve those problems. And that's where the education comes in. Once we've learned to listen to them, once we've given them the opportunity to tell us, this is why I feel this way, this is why this is an issue for me, this is why we need to take this on. Once we've listened to them, they're going to be much more willing to hear our ideas. And so we can frame it in a way such as, I completely understand that issue, and I understand why it's so important to you. And I think I have a way. I think I have an idea that could help. Here's the idea. And when we pitch it that way, people are going to be willing to listen. They're going to be willing to take a chance. And then finally, the love part. It's really time to stop playing politics with everybody is evil. Everybody that doesn't think the same way I do is terrible. They're the enemy. They're the worst thing in the world. That type of thought is exactly why we have terrible politicians running things now. That type of them versus us. It's not them versus us anymore. It's us as a community together that have to deal with our own problems in our own communities. If we don't deal with it together, if we don't deal with it together in the communities that we live in, we're never going to actually solve the problems. We're just going to push it off and push it off and push it off until it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. That's what we've seen in recent years. Problems get tossed down the road. We spend more money. We do all these, idiotic things. And we really need to come together as a community. One thing that COVID has taught us is that people were not meant to be isolated. People are not meant to be alone. We're meant to function together as a society. And we need each other to function together as a society. So it's time to have those conversations. It's time to lead with compassion, be willing to listen, and show people love. Show people that love truly is how we free ourselves. And when we free ourselves, we allow others to be free as well.
So you're actually trying to solve stuff with love. It's amazing. Yes. It's amazing. I love it. So we have a couple comments I want to bring up, if you don't mind. Joseph's on your side. He says, go get him, Ashley. So Joseph's on your side.
Thank you, Joe.
You got at least one fan. That's for sure. So Andrew says, is Ashley planning on working with all parties and the people that represent as a libertarian? Good question.
Yeah, so in my race, it is a nonpartisan race. So there are no parties here as far as, Democrat, Republican, Libertarian on the ballot. But I'm willing to work with all the people in my community to make it better. My goal is not just to be elected to city council. It's to help the people in my community live better lives. It's to help find solutions to the problems we face in our community so we can all be freer and live better lives together.
I like that. Keith's on board. He says, that's an excellent slogan. I think almost everyone can get behind those concepts, or I hope they can. Well, you know what, Keith? I think some people are going to be jerks, but you're always going to have your jerks. You're going to have a couple of them no matter what. Let's hope not so many. That's a good question. Are you getting any feedback from that slogan, Ashley? Are you getting some feedback or no?
Yeah, so it's a message that I've been talking about for a long time, and it's something that I truly believe in. And having that positive message transcends parties. So somebody that would, if you run on your traditional, let's defund things, taxation is theft, let's do this, it turns off your average voter who's not a libertarian. And sure, it riles up your libertarian base, it gets them on board, but it doesn't appeal to regular voters.
Yes,
when it comes to regular voters, we have to meet them where they are and talk about the issues that are important to them. And that's why compassion, listening first, then teaching them the libertarian way and sealing the deal with love is so important.
There we go. David says, finally, someone who isn't trying to shove the way they live their life down people's throats. Well, there we go. He also says, understanding equally from both sides. I think you're winning a little bit there, Ashley. So good for you. But
thank you.
I want to touch. You talk about issues and solving problems. I'm sure there's 80,000 bazillion problems you could tackle. Do you have like 1, 2, or 3 of them that kind of float to the top in your mind?
Yeah. So the 3 big things here in North Adams, we were an old mill town. And so we have become more of an arts and culture city, which is great. Okay. We get tourism and there's a lot of arts and things that go on, which is great. It's helped rebuild our economy, but it hasn't been enough. Back in the mid-'80s, a big company called Sprague Electric left North Adams, and with it, thousands of jobs went. Ooh. And then in the early 90s, the biggest city in our county, Pittsfield, was the headquarters for General Electric's plastics division, which also left in the 90s.
Ouch.
And when we lost those 2 big employers, the entire economy of Berkshire County just kind of sank, and we've still never fully recovered. And so I want to talk about how we as a city can sell ourselves to be a partner for new businesses, startups, technology, biotech, and how we can work with those types of industries and bring them to North Adams so that our residents can have great paying jobs. We live in an area, we're about 3 hours away from New York and Boston, about an hour away from Albany. It's a beautiful area to be in, but the cost of living is so much cheaper here. We also have 2 world-class universities, Williams College in Williamstown, Massachusetts, and the Massachusetts College of Liberal Arts here in North Adams. And then we also have a technical high school here in North Adams. So we can train your workforces. We have the ability to train young, new people to be part of your businesses if you come here. So come here, give your employees a better quality of life, a lower cost of living. It makes it more affordable for them. We have such an eager base of residents who just want to work again. And we want to diversify the businesses here. That way, if one big business leaves, the whole city doesn't collapse. And that's issue number one.
But hold on, I want to stand it. You took an issue that should be, it's about economics and lowering the taxes, and you made it about people having a better lifestyle. That's pretty good, Ashley. I like that. That was good. That was good because that's not, most people say we have to just, surrender all our tax base so that we can bring a business in. You didn't say that. You said, look, your people have a better lifestyle and you can get them trained right here and be 3 hours from 2 major cities. I love that. That's amazing. So issue 1 is compassion for the economy. Look at that.
Economic development and selling ourselves as a city. Issue number 2 is mental health access and healthcare access in general. We're kind of isolated out here in Massachusetts. We're surrounded by mountains, and so it's hard to get around. We're not connected to the rest of the state really with transportation. And so North Adams is this kind of little valley city tucked away on the beautiful mountains. And we have, as we've learned with COVID, mental health is a huge issue.
Oh, yes.
And in North Adams, it's always been a huge issue. We have an opioid pandemic here. We have a terrible rate of domestic violence in our community. And so we have all of these underlying issues. Suicide rates in the area are higher than normal. And so when we think about all of these issues, when we think about how do we solve this, well, it's 3 things. 1 is going back to economic development. Most people who face domestic violence situations, most couples, when that happens, the argument starts about money.
Right.
The economics are so important to that. So having better paying jobs, having people feel like there's a future here for them, they're less likely to turn to substance abuse. They're less likely to turn to violence. It'll alleviate a lot of that. And then having more access, which COVID has actually given us because we now have more telehealth. And with telehealth,
look at that. You just found a benefit to the COVID lockdown. Nice. Well done. There's something good out of it.
So with telehealth access, we can work with providers who aren't here in North Adams, but throughout the state and get our residents the help they need by saying, hey, now you can just log on to a phone, you can make a call, or you can jump on a Zoom call, and you can see your provider. In a way, that's opened up access for us a lot, and I really want to see that continue. But not only continue, I would like to have the city work with providers to not only bring them here, but also work with mental health providers in our community and help them find these providers throughout the state that can do telehealth so that everybody can have access to mental health care that they need. Those are the 2 big parts of that.
No, I love it. Let me grab some comments. You're getting people to start thinking, so let's see what they're saying here. Here, Brian says, people in the local communities don't care about ending the Fed or China trade deals. Ashley nailed it. I think it's often true, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's often true. You're right. Yes. Matt says, good point on appealing wider and delivering the message in a way that resonates with normal people. Thumbs up. Best of luck from England. We got the Brits watching us today. Look at that. I love that. Adrian likes the slogan. You're winning there. So another question from Roman. He says, Ashley, can libertarians win the state of Massachusetts? Do you have a view on this?
The answer is yes, and I'm going to prove it. I'm
there we
go.
go.
The path for it. So I'm currently a an appointee on the North Adams City Human Services Commission. And I just got sworn in for my second term as an appointee. And I've also been able to get involved in my local community. I'm on the board of directors for a nonprofit. I'm involved in several activist groups. And I also serve the city council in a working group that they created for inclusivity, diversity, equity, and access training.
Wow.
And we're using that training committee, that working group, to train our city councilors and mayor on how to better help marginalized people in our communities. And that's also going to eventually give them that training to all city employees. That includes fire, police, schools, so that they can better understand people of our community and the differences people have and the differences your decision making has on different segments of the community, so that we can better represent all of our community and not just certain segments.
Sure.
So in getting involved in that, I've gotten a lot of support already. I haven't officially announced the campaign because we can't pull nomination papers until April.
Okay.
In April, when we pull the papers, that's when we will officially announce that we're running. But
so does that mean people can't give you money yet?
They can, yeah. On ashleyshade.com, they can absolutely donate.
There we go.
We've raised 9% of our goal so far already. We're looking to raise $5,000 for the campaign so that we can have literature, have signs, and depending on the COVID situation in the area, we have a large elderly population in which door knocking may not be welcomed by the community itself.
Sure.
So we want to raise enough money that we can do radio and television advertising as well.
Right.
So $5,000 is our goal. That will get us the extra votes we need. Again, we need our win number is about 1,700 votes. My goal is 2,100, so I'm playing blackjack. We want to play blackjack, and we want to go over, right? So in this game, we actually want to go over. So I need your help to play blackjack. Throw some money down. This is a safe bet here. I have a really good chance of winning. I've developed the relationships with the people in the community over the past few years, and that's where we as libertarians sometimes fail, is we don't take the time to get to know our community members. And we don't build those relationships and show them that we're out in our own communities, helping people, doing the work, practicing what we believe in. And so by doing that, we get the opportunity to really show people that, yeah, we're invested in the community. We want things to be better. And that's going to help us win votes. Absolutely. And I feel very confident in North Adams that I can win over a lot of votes based on that.
There we go. So for those of you who want more information or if you want to support Ashley, head on over to ashleyshade.com. And remember, Ashley can use money, of course, but she could also use bodies too. She can use volunteers also, people to be those social media warriors, people to help her with content, people to help her with phone calls, all types of things. So if you're interested in helping Ashley out, ashleyshade.com, please go ahead and check that out. I want to grab a couple more if I can. David asked, do you have any opinion on frontline workers getting hazard pay? They sacrifice safety every day. Any view on that?
Well, when it comes to hazard pay, that's something that has to be done with the companies involved. It's important to do that be part of the company that they work for and what's going on there. As far as in my local city, that's not something that I would ever want the city government to impose and say you have to do this. I don't believe that would be okay, and that would hurt a lot of businesses. We've seen it happen in Arizona and California, where grocery store chains are closing down stores and reducing the number of stores because they were forced without any discussion, without actual conversations of what their finances situation looks like.
Sure.
So we have to find that balance of taking care of our employees, making sure our employees are taken care of, but also finding the balance of making sure we're not harming the businesses where they leave. Because if they leave, we lose out all those jobs, we lose out the property tax income that they have. We lose out on the impact. We don't want people cramming into just one grocery store because 3 of them closed.
Yes,
Now
absolutely.
we're making it less
Yes.
safe as well. So we don't want to go that issue.
Does the city council have any say on hazard pay for city workers, or is that through contract? How does that work within the city? I know that a lot of the state-run facilities, hazard pay is based upon the state, and you wouldn't be dealing with that at all. Is there a situation in the city or no?
As far as I'm aware of, no. And again, in the way city council works in North Adams is a little different. We are set up where the mayor drives the agenda. So the mayor is the one that introduces policy and different things that are happening, and it's the city council's job to vote on it, send things to committee for review, and we can bring things up, but it's mostly driven by the mayor. So our job is to be the people that, go through the fine points, make sure everything is on the up and up, make sure that everything represents the people and the things that we need in our city, and push from there.
So you're a bit more almost of a check on the mayor in the way, almost like that.
Yeah. We're kind of, it's kind of like, having a House and Senate, but the mayor is the Senate and we're the House. Or we're the House and, so it's like having, the mayor's the one that proposes the legislation, brings it up to the council. We either send it to committee or we review it and vote on things, and it kind of works through like that.
There we go. So let me ask, how do you think you make impact, right? I mean, this is tough with the COVID. As you mentioned, you might not be able to knock on doors. Depends upon how your community wants to respond to that. Are you going to have vaccines in the next 6 months or not? And does your community respond to that? It's a lot of issues, right? Do you think the way to make impact is only through radio? Is that really the answer? Or is there something else? How do you get people to go, oh my God, yeah, actually, of course.
Yeah, so we've already started doing that in a way. We haven't even fully announced yet, and our social media page already has 700 followers plus. It's been built for about a month. So we were already getting attention paid to us.
Got it.
People in my community know who I am. And so it's a balancing act, right? It's about making sure that we are out there and visible in the community, that we're speaking to people in the community, but doing so in a way that people still feel safe. So, as weather gets better, as vaccines get out, as the numbers continue to go down, hopefully they keep continuing to go down with COVID. As all that stuff starts happening and we can start doing more in the community, we're definitely going to take advantage of that and be out there. But we also need to make sure that we're doing so in a safe way.
Got it. I get it completely. It's going to be a challenging thing for you to do. Absolutely. Do third parties, or I know you don't officially have parties, but third-party people, do they win? Is that a thing that happens now, or are you breaking a ceiling, or has this happened before and you're another person doing this great thing?
In Massachusetts, we are a highly Democrat state. In terms of, when there's a party on the ballot, Democrats win most things.
I know the feeling.
Governor, every now and then, every few years, every 10 years or so, we switch back and forth between a Republican and a Democrat governor. But the Democrats, in the state own the state house, they own the Senate, they have a supermajority. But the tricky thing with Massachusetts is that more than 60% of the voters in Massachusetts are actually registered as independent.
Wow.
And there's a strong libertarian leaning message amongst the voter base in Massachusetts. When issues like raising the state tax, raising alcohol taxes, raising property taxes in the city come up, they get voted down. We say no, we don't want more taxes. We want people to be more responsible with the money they're already taking first. And so Massachusetts has a very liberal base in the sense of social issues. But when it comes to the idea of doing the right thing and making changes, we also are very stubborn and don't like change. We still have a lot of Puritan laws on the books from back in the Puritan days. I mean, on Sundays, liquor stores have to close by 6 p.m. Stores and bars can't be open on Christmas Day and different holidays. So there's a lot of that old school feeling here. And in my community, we have a senior community. The average age of our community is about 45 years old.
Okay.
And we have a large elderly population here as well. And so these are the people that vote. These are the people that have been here. These are the
Yes.
people that are kind of resistant to change as well. And so to really impact culture and bring change, we've got to be willing to talk to them, have the conversations, listen to them first. Let them tell us what they need, and then figure out a libertarian solution to what they need.
So let's go to the next level. Let's say you win this thing, and I really hope
Yeah.
you do. How do you make impact then, right? I mean, I hope you make impact whether you win or lose. I hope you win, but I hope either way you make some impact. If you win this thing, and I know you can, and I hope you do, you know, the argument I'm sure you've heard is, you're one libertarian among blah, blah, blah. How can you make anything happen? I'm sure you've thought of this. How do you make impact? Even if you win, you're one libertarian out of the entire council. What happens then?
What happens then is that I get to be a part of the conversation and bring libertarian ideas and solutions to the conversation. And in groups that I work with, I work in a lot of groups that are not libertarian. I already am familiar with working outside the libertarian circle on a local level, in the community, and on national levels with different organizations, where when I bring libertarian ideas into the fold and just bring the idea in without the politics behind it, but say, hey, here's an idea that I have. And it's usually libertarian focused, of course. When I bring that information in and they're like, that's actually better than what we're doing. You know, when talking to an organization on a national level about, for example, the situation that happened, you know, that's happening throughout the country with racial injustice and racism, and talking about how do we deal with, you know, the issues that are going on in the system.
Sure.
They're talking about, you know, passing a bill and getting reforms done. And I'm telling them, no, we need to go farther. We need to end qualified immunity. We need to have actual punishment for people who break the law, police or not. We need to hold people accountable. We need to end cash bail for, you know, keeping poor people in prisons. All of those types of things. And they're like, that takes it a step farther, and we love it. And these are groups of people who tend to be Democrats. They tend to be more liberal. And so in working with different people in those circles and communicating with different people from different backgrounds, and
in your state, I mean, it's a heavily Democrat state, just like mine.
Yeah.
So you've got to be able to work with Democrats, or you're going to get nothing done. So you've got to be able to take the side that works. And you're right. I think most Democrats don't even think about ending qualified immunity. Correct. They don't even think about it, right? They're just like, cops bad, defund. That's kind of like where their heads go very often. And for you to say, no, we can actually like solve a problem, not just shake our fists at the right. We can actually solve a problem. I love the idea that you're openly saying you've got to work with Democrats. They're in your state.
Yeah, I've got to communicate to them where they're at. Right. And it's not about just being like, I'm the libertarian and my idea is great and you should listen to this. You have to present it in a different way. So it's about listening to them first, because if you just throw it at them, they're going to be like, whatever.
Right.
Nobody cares what you have to say until they know that you care. Right. So you have to care about what they're saying first.
Right.
Let them talk first, and then say, you know, I understand everything that you've said. I understand there's a problem there. I want to help you. I think I have an idea, and I'd love to work with you on this, and introduce the idea as an idea to help solve problems and build a better community. Okay. When we talk about it in those kind of terms, it's still a libertarian idea, but we're talking about in terms that people understand and respect. We're kind of taking the political side of it out of it. We're just talking about solving the problem.
So you're going back to that compassion and education and love thing.
Yes.
Circle it back. I love that. Yeah. So then let me go to an issue that many libertarians right now are probably considering, particularly some of those who are probably thinking, do I want to support Ashley or not? Do I want to either send her some cash or volunteer in her team? They're probably thinking the same thing. Oh my God, what happens if she loses? Right? It's an issue that libertarians always think about. Do you have another way of winning? Have you decided, if this happens, then I still win? If this happens, you know, that happens, then I win? Or no, is it just I get the seat or I don't?
I've already won, Larry.
Oh, okay. Tell me.
I've already won because I'm part of the community. I've already won because I'm part of the city. I'm part of the culture. I'm already making the changes, and I'm introducing new people to this new idea of leading with compassion and education and love. And we're changing the culture. And that to me is more important than all of it. It's about changing culture and helping people live better lives together. And if we can do that, that is the real goal of things. Politics is not supposed to be my side, your side. Politics is supposed to be finding solutions to problems so that people come first and that we better the lives of people in responsible, proper ways without interfering with their lives. Right? So it's about
Got it. I love it. I love it.
Solutions to those problems. And so I already win by being a part of the conversation, but I really have a great chance at winning. We have a great team built up already. We'd love to have more volunteers. I've already got 20 people on my campaign team, Larry, for a city council race with 13,000 residents in the city.
I love it. It's AshleyShay.com if you guys want to join and make it 21 or 22. There we go, AshleyShay.com.
And we've already got 8 people here in North Adams on the ground. People that aren't even libertarians, Larry. I've got people who are not even political as part of this campaign because they believe in that message of compassion, education, and love. And so that's what we're trying to do. My tagline for the campaign is that liberty is the brightest, love is the brightest flame of liberty. Okay.
Ooh, love is the brightest flame of liberty. Okay.
Yes. So when we lead with love, we bring people down the road to liberty. That's how we free people. When you are angry, when you are resentful, when you are hating things, you shackle yourself and you are not free. But when you learn to love, you set yourself free and you allow other people to be free. And that's how we light the path and go down the road towards liberty. So
well, there we go.
Us being
Paula likes that. She says that's good. She likes that. Again, she's on board. I want to. Kyle wants to challenge you a bit on this. Kyle says, I like your points, Ashley, but the cash bail issue has been a disaster in New York City. The conversation is more nuanced than just ending it. How do you feel about it? I've heard this more than once, right? I've heard people talk about the cash bail issue, and some people have said it's just ending. Some people haven't. Some people shifted. And I think he has a valid point. I think the New York State bail, ending bail law really had some flaws to it. I think that is true. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I'm not familiar exactly with what's happening in New York. But, you know, from my perspective in ending cash bail, we are not punishing the poorest of people who get arrested. And that's what cash bail does. It punishes people for being broke.
Yeah.
If you have $10 million and they slap you with a $250,000 cash bail, it doesn't mean anything. But if you're living paycheck to paycheck and you can't even afford your rent, and you've got to pay $1,000 just to get on bail so you can go to work and feed your family and be productive in the community, that is a problem. And we shouldn't penalize people in that way. So there does have to be a better solution, and we need to have those conversations. We need to talk about it.
Oh, so you were talking about a conversation.
Yeah, we need to figure out that solution together. Maybe the solution that we have now isn't the perfect one. Maybe the solution in New York isn't the perfect one. But I think ending cash bail itself is a good idea, and we find other ways to deal with the issues that come with that. But the cash bail itself is just harmful for the poorest of communities. It's harmful for the most vulnerable of people. And why should they be sitting in jail for months? They haven't even been convicted yet. And now they can't even go make a living. Now they can't even provide for their families. And that just leads to more crime, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no. I'm with you. I'm not a fan of cash bail at all. I'm just bringing up his point that you were talking about a conversation. So that's great. This works. So let me ask you, Ashley, is there anything you want me to bring up? I think we had a pretty good chat. Is there something I missed, some important piece you want to bring up before we wrap this up?
Yeah, so I'd love for everybody to go to the website, ashleyshay.com, If you would like to volunteer and get involved in the campaign, send us a message. We have a contact form on the page. We are about to kick off heavy going into April when we finally get our nomination papers out. And we'd like to have a little bit of funding to go along and be able to hit the ground running, so to speak. So we are already 9% of our goal, raised $5,000 for the campaign. If you can donate, if you can send $1 or $2. If you love the message of love, send in some money so we can spread the love and spread the liberty.
We're going to spread the love and spread the liberty. I love that. Ashley, I'm so happy that you came today. I appreciate that. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. I will see you all very soon. In fact, some of you I will see tonight, but others I may see tomorrow. Thank you so much, everybody. I will talk to you all very soon.